much, much greater. And yet the decision to end someone's life intentionally was something that was not to be considered within the moral community.
What about Dr. Singer's example of an infant born without a brain, without a cortex, no consciousness? Do we, because we have certainly the technology, just prolong that infant's life as the infant continues to grow old and not even consider the possibility that perhaps the infant is in a special category all of its own?
I think the question of anencephaly is a very difficult one. I think that some of you may know that up at Loma Linda there was a scandal, huge controversy, some 20 years ago, when there was interest in taking anencephalic children who had not died and using them as organ donors. And I believe the practice ceased after the controversy. They were considered to be wonderful live organ donors who really were barely human. Seems to me that there are issues of medical futility involved in treating babies who have a very short lifespan ahead of them, and in this case have apparently no consciousness. And I think that is the context in which we have the conversation. I think the notion that we act intentionally to terminate their lives because we consider those lives are not worth living because they are not conscious is a very different question. If I can give a brief parallel case, I mean, the question of the persistent vegetative state is the one typically advanced here also, where people apparently have no consciousness for very long periods. And the record of somebody in PVS is over 30 years of survival in this state. And I was in a debate some years ago, and someone put this to me, and they said, but surely this proves that we should not be sustaining people in this state if they can live that long. And I said, I find the story of this gentleman who was in that state for over 30 years one of the most extraordinary statements of the capacity of the human community to show love for each other in this condition of abject disability.